welcome back to the Introvert Guy. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about what's happening in the Japanese economy. Over the last 2 years, we've spoken at length about the problems of inflation worldwide. Most discussions have focused on high levels of inflation. But in Japan, they face a very different problem. Low inflation that has persisted for about 25 years. While low inflation might sound great for consumers because prices don't rise, it has caused significant issues for the Japanese economy. The Japanese yen is now trading at its lowest level since 1990. Japan's problems trace back to 1989, when it experienced a stock market crash and a burst of its economic bubble. Unfortunately, Japan never fully recovered from these events. One of the major issues it faces today is an aging population. Japan is the third largest economy globally, with a current population of around 123 million people. However, it's forecasted to decrease to less than 90 million over the next 50 years. A declining population makes it challenging to sustain economic growth because there are fewer people earning money, paying taxes, and making purchases. In today's video, we will examine Japan's population pyramid and compare it to countries like the USA, China, and India. We'll discuss what's been happening with inflation and interest rates. Japan's interest rates have been in negative territory since 2016, meaning if you put your money in the bank, its value diminishes. We'll also cover quantitative easing, a strategy Japan has been using, and the yield control curve, which involves buying bonds to manipulate yields and interest rates. We'll look at the yen's value and discuss what might happen in Japan over the next 3 to 6 months and its implications for the global economy. One of Japan's fundamental issues is its aging population. The population pyramid chart illustrates this, with the left side showing the percentage of males and the right side representing females in different age groups. Japan's pyramid clearly indicates an aging population and declining birth rate. The largest age group is 50 to 54 years, followed by 45 to 49 and 70 to 74. Below age 45, each age range has few. Looking at Japan's forecasted population over the next 50 years, it's expected to decline annually due to the falling birth rate and an aging population. The current population of around 123 million is projected to drop nearly 30%, reaching 87 million in 50 years. The characteristics of this aging population pose challenges for Japan, as older individuals tend to be more conservative with their finances. Reducing interest rates has minimal impact on them as they carry less debt. Now, let's compare Japan's population pyramid to a few other world economies. The USA has a more rectangular population pyramid with a higher immigration rate, allowing its population to grow. China's pyramid is different due to its single-child policy, resulting in a notable reduction in people aged 29. India's population pyramid indicates a younger population with a higher birth rate than China and Japan. Nigeria's population pyramid demonstrates one of the highest birth rates globally, with a significant population increase forecasted. The chart illustrates Japan's official inflation rate over the past 25 years, with most of that period marked by inflation rates around 0%. There were brief spikes to about 2% in 2008 and 2014, driven by global economic crises. Recently, Japan experienced another increase to around 4% due to deliberate policies aimed at raising inflation. Despite the extensive discussions on high inflation, low inflation has been a severe problem for Japan, hampering economic growth and investment. Traditionally, countries address high inflation by raising interest rates. However, what do you do when faced with low inflation? Japan's interest rates have been in the negative territory, currently at -0.1% for the past 5 years. When interest rates hit zero, the central bank's options are limited. Expanding this further over the last 20 to stimulate demand and increase spending in the economy, many nations utilize quantitative easing, where central banks and governments buy bonds from bondholders. Japan has been using this strategy extensively. However, its aging population's unwillingness to take on debt or spend money has rendered this approach less effective. The final strategy Japan employed is called the yield control curve. This approach aims to control short-term interest rates at -0.1% and maintain a 0% yield on 10-year government bonds. It was designed to manipulate the yield curve to keep short to medium-term rates low for corporate borrowers, while not depressing long-term yields too much. As Japan's inflation rate increased above the 2% target due to rising commodity prices, it began to struggle to maintain this control. The removal of the yield control curve led to a critical issue. The Japanese yen's value has fallen below 150 against the US dollar, which is problematic for Japan. As a net importer, Japan is affected by higher import costs due to a weaker yen. This situation intensified with the global rise in oil prices following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In summary, Japan's challenges are the result of an aging and declining population, with characteristics that are not easily managed by traditional economic tools like interest rates, quantitative easing, and yield control curves. While Japan has been dealing with low inflation for decades, it now faces rising inflation as a consequence of a weakening yen. The fundamental problem remains how to address the long-term economic impact of an aging and declining population. I hope you found today's episode informative and thought-provoking. If you enjoyed this content, please give it a thumbs up